Uncommon.me helps you feel better.
Stress is an interesting word. It's a word that we will bandy around, and we can say that, we're stressed because we were late into work, or somebody could be off work for years suffering from stress. So what do we actually mean when we say that somebody is suffering stress? Now, in order to experience stress, we need to have a stressor, something that causes the stress in the first place. A stressor could be real, could be something coming towards you like a hungry lion about to eat you. Pretty stressful. Or it could be something that you imagine or you fear, something that you produce from within your imagination. Oh my God, what's going to happen next week if I give this presentation and I screw up? Okay. Or what happens if my relationship ends? Or what happens if I can't pay the mortgage, and so forth? The imagination, worrying, causes a stress response. And what happens when we get stressed? Well, within the first couple of minutes of getting stressed, the adrenal glands produce adrenaline, which affects the brain and body pretty radically. So if a lion is coming towards you, for example, and you become stressed, which is what you need to do, then first off, your heart rate will go up, your pulse rate will go up, your blood pressure will rise in order to pump out more blood, which is fine in the short term. But in the long term, if you remain stressed for hours or days or weeks or months or even years, if your stress levels are higher than they should be, then what was adaptive in the short term, higher blood pressure to get you exercising and running away, becomes maladaptive by perhaps causing hypertension, high blood pressure, or heart problems. The digestion shuts down. When you're confronted with a lion that's trying to eat you, you don't need to be eating anything else. So nature in its wisdom shuts down your digestion. Mouth becomes dry and blood is shunted away from the stomach. In the short term, that's great, but in the long term, people with long-term stress can develop digestive problems like irritable bowel syndrome or Crohn's syndrome, things like that. In the short term, you become very alert. When the lion's coming towards you, you don't fall asleep or start feeling, soporific and relaxed and laid back. Become hyper alert during an emergency. Short term, adaptive. Long term, you could start having insomnia, not being able to sleep and switch off. Okay, so all stressful responses in their place in the short term are useful. They become maladaptive if they are prolonged through time. In the short term, sex drive's switched off. You don't need to be feeling horny when a lion is coming towards you. It might have some, it might put the lion off, but generally speaking, nature doesn't need you to be sexually excited when you're being threatened by a lion or a predator. Short term, that's fantastic, but long term, if stress remains within the body and mind for months or weeks or months or years, then people may lose interest in sex. Okay, sex drive becomes lower generally in the long term. And that's another symptom of stress. So all stress symptoms can be traced back to adaptive responses during an emergency. Now, of course, the antidote to being stressed is to begin to relax and to feel as if you can cope with the demands placed upon you in life. Another definition of stress is not being able to cope or feeling that you can't cope with the demands placed upon you. Feeling the demands that are placed upon you outweigh your capacity to cope with them. Now, in engineering, if a bridge is stressed, it's because the supporting arches or the legs of the bridge can't take the weight placed upon them. If we reinforce the arches of the bridge, now the bridge is able to cope with the stresses placed upon it. And we can reinforce people's capacity to cope with the stresses in their lives by teaching them stress coping strategies and techniques. Regular deep relaxation being one of them, looking at diet, looking at ways to problem solve rather than just worry, to actively problem solve things that worry people, are all ways to calm down the stress response and get the person physically healthier and mentally clearer so that they can feel happier in their lives.
UncommonHelp.me helps you feel better.